Lucky kids. Episode 1 of Unconditional begins with us at Moscow International Airport. After a big layover, Gali and her mum Orna prepare to head off on their flight. Only, there's a problem. Police officers show and check over Gali's passport, eventually deciding to take the pair away. Before they're separated, Gali whispers something in Orna's ear, although we don't hear what it is until later on. After being kept in custody for 3 to 4 hours, they've missed their flight, but Orna is free to go. Unfortunately, Gali is not so lucky. She's been arrested after drugs have been found in her backpack. Orna tries to argue with the officers and wants to see her daughter. However, she's been taken down to Moscow police station and there's no other way but to leave the airport and go there to see. The officer eventually writes a note confirming the address, which literally says, whichever jail has room for her. Unfortunately, there are over 30 police stations in Moscow, and Orna doesn't even know the first place to look. Alone in a foreign country, Orna heads off to the Embassy of Israel, seeking help. The lady behind the counter scoffs, explaining that this sort of thing happens a lot. She's confident that Gali will get a slap on the wrist and then kicked out the country soon after. The likelihood is she'll be released in 24 hours, so she just needs to sit tight for the time being. It's a public holiday, so there aren't many officials working, and the lady is quick to remind Orna that things won't move any faster by her forcing the situation. Orna has little choice but to wait, knowing that things will either resolve or get a lot worse. Orna brings in a lawyer called Yevgeny, explaining the situation to him. Only, he actually seems to be a sleazy opportunist looking to make a quick buck. In reality, the real defender arrives, a man named Maxim Kiselyov. He's been appointed as Gali's defense lawyer, and things aren't looking good for her. The authorities intend to charge Gali with drug trafficking. The Interior Ministry has classified the case, and Maxim explains how serious this is. Sometimes the authorities spike the tea offered as refreshments with cocaine. It's enough to get a positive drug test they can later use in court. If Gali is convinced, she'll be sentenced to 8 to 12 years behind bars. If they ask for a plea bargain, she'll get 2 years in prison. These are the options she has to choose from, and Orna will need to decide whether to take the deal or not. Orna isn't sure, but she's pretty convinced that before they were separated, Gali told her not to touch the food. Flashbacks interspersed through this episode jumps over to Mumbai, India, 2 weeks earlier. Gali and her mum, Orna, are on a trip together. While out sightseeing, Gali explains that she apparently promised her friend, Yara, that she'd meet up with them during the trip. She's located in a village nearby, and Orna isn't about to head off to the resort alone. They hop on board a bus together to the village. Only, apparently Yara's bus is stuck en route, so she bails on them. Gali decides they should leave first thing in the morning while they hang at their motel room once they arrive. Back in the present, Orna decides to ring Yevgeny, looking for an alternate plan. Yevgeny meets with Orna that night, and they drive up to the prison. Orna wears a tight dress as requested, which gets her in the front door after hours. It's tense, especially as she's led through the prison alone, until she finds a woman that's certainly not Gali. Apparently, Yevgeny told them a junkie girl from the Middle East, which doesn't exactly narrow it down. Unfortunately, in the commotion, Orna loses her daughter's bracelet. In the morning, Orna heads to Moscow City Court where Gali is put on trial. Maxim is here defending her and points out there was no Hebrew translator present during the interrogation, so nothing said within the interview room can be used. It's all inadmissible. Furthermore, Orna has a character witness and decides not to pursue a plea deal. One of the prosecutors whispers something to the judge, and as a result, he changes his tact and decides to go for the maximum penalty of incarceration. The court grants a 3-month remand, but it's not looking good. The prosecution want her locked up for 18 years. Maxim warns that if she stays, she could be arrested as well, and believes Orna should head back to Israel and get her government involved. As the episode closes out, we cut back to those flashbacks in India one more time. Gali sneaks out in the middle of the night while Orna isn't feeling too well. However, Gali seems to have stashed a number of passports inside a stuffed teddy, all belonging to different men. The episode review. Unconditional gets off to a solid start here, with a good premise, an intriguing setup, and reasonably likable characters. As a side note here, Orna chewing with her mouth open is certainly a choice. Plot-wise, it seems like Yevgeny might show up a bit more across the season, especially if that first episode is any indication. Whatever Gali has done, it's clearly serious, but it's unclear whether she's pissed off people higher in the criminal underworld and she's getting reprimanded for it, or she really is trafficking drugs around. While most of those flashbacks show a simple mother-slash-daughter trip, working to solidify the bond between them, those later ones clearly show secrets being hidden from us. It's unclear whether Gali is really guilty or not, but the first episode certainly sets everything up nicely for the season to follow. Like and subscribe.